Welcome to the Day 5 session of Earth Day 2022, an event organized by Futuresavers Sustainable Development Initiative in partnership with Ervis Foundation. The voice you're about to hear is that of Seyi Akinwumi, founder, Futuresavers Sustainable Development Initiative. Enjoy.
My name is Seyi Akinwumi, and I'm the founder of Futuresavers Sustainable Development Initiative, an organization that is based in Nigeria, and we are poised to be the face and the voice for climate advocacy, climate education, and the protection of the biodiversity in Nigeria. And then we are partnered with Ervis Foundation, a foundation based in India, towards climate education and advocacy, and of course, the protection of the ocean. And also we are partnered with the poor movement based in the United States and India and across the world. They are an organization built to support young people, to give them the voice that they require, and also to support them in every aspect of their development in sustainability. And also the FDA network is actually a partner to this wonderful project. Today is the last day, but before I move forward, I would just want to say officially, Happy Earth Day to everybody. Happy Earth Day to everybody. Today is Earth Day officially, the 22nd day of April. Every year is officially marked as Earth Day. And we have started this project from Monday, I think since Monday, which is the 18th of April. And then here we are rounding everything, is the grand finale. And I just want to welcome everybody on board. And I want to say thank you for joining us. You can follow us on our social media platform, which is going to be shared in the comment section. And for everyone who have stayed from the beginning till the end of that will stay till the end of today, you are sure that you're going to be getting certification from us. I just want to say thank you for standing by the Mother Earth. It's Mother Earth's birthday today, and I want to say once again, congratulations to every Earthlings, and I hope that we're going to have a wonderful day today. We are going to be having project presentations and some wonderful speech from our speakers. And I want to let you know that you should stay glued, and it's going to be a wonderful day and a wonderful experience for each and every one of us. Thank you so much. Fola.
Thank you, Seyi. Quickly, I'll be going to our first speaker for the day, and I would just like to just read his profile. So Dr. Femi Omoni, it's nice to have you. Thank you for honoring our webinar today with your presence. Is really a delight, and I know that today we're here to get the best of you. So Dr. Femi Omoni is a process engineer with a background in clean energy. He currently works as a higher research scientist at the National Physical Laboratory, UK, focusing on solving measurement challenges relating to clean energy gases, such as biomethane and hydrogen for transport and heat. He has also worked on several projects and research on the uptake of alternative fuels, notably hydrogen, as part of the 4 mix in the UK. He also has a master's in progress systems engineering from the University of Surrey and a doctorate in chemical, environmental, and materials engineering from the University of Leeds, with core research on a sustainable and optimized means of producing hydrogen using process intensification measures. Dr. Femi Omoni also serves on the executive board of the Association of Black and Minority Engineers in the UK, AFBE UK, where he volunteers as the lead of its mentoring program. it is an honor once again to have you, Dr. Femi Omuni. Please have the mic.
Thank you so much. And once again, thanks for inviting me on to speak today. I'll be sharing my screen if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, it's on now.
Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, so today I'll be speaking on the climate emergency. I'll be speaking on how that relates to, just give me a minute. I need to see my screen as well. Okay, so I'll be speaking on the climate emergency, the urgency and the need to act now. My name is Femi Omoni, as I've been rightly introduced. I'll start with a short bio of myself, just explain who I am, what I do, and then I would move on to talking about the climate emergency, achieving net zero. I'll give examples of projects that I've worked on in the UK. Then we'll talk a bit about how some of these projects can be useful in Africa and what steps Africa needs to take as well with regards to achieving net zero as well. So a quick introduction about myself. I've been well introduced. Thank you so much for that. My name is Femi, Dr. Femi Omoni. I have a doctorate in chemical, environmental, and materials engineering from the University of Leeds. I'm affiliated to Afrikindness. I'm Nigerian by origin. I also have a master's in process systems engineering and a bachelor's in biochemistry in Nigeria. My core research has always been with regards to the production of hydrogen using novel methods. So, for example, using renewable technologies like biomass. But I've also looked into things like the production of hydrogen using electrolytic means and other means of producing hydrogen. Just as I mentioned, I have affiliations with Afrikindness. Afrikindness is a platform to learn, relearn, and unlearn about kindness, particularly for children and young adults. It's a platform where we learn from one another with the aim of, common goal of raising, kind children. Just as has been said earlier as well, I'm also a process engineer. My background is majorly in clean energy. I currently work with the National Physical Laboratory in the UK. We are the National Measurement Institute for the UK, and basically our focus is on solving measurement challenges, basically relating to clean energy gases such as biomethane and hydrogen. Also looking for other routes, for example, to transition from natural gas into renewable energy. So I've worked on several projects, particularly on hydrogen for transport, hydrogen for heat, and I've also carried out research on the uptake of alternative fuels. I currently serve as part of the board of the Association for Black and Minority Engineers in the UK, and I serve as their mentoring lead. Once again, during my talk, if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask at the end of the presentation. Thank you. Yes. Sorry, if we can all mute that. Thank you. A lot of people have been talking about climate change, climate emergency, achieving net zero. But why is this critical, and why have so many countries in the world basically declared a climate emergency? Now, the fact is, scientists indicate that the Earth's vital signs, and these are signs that basically points to the health of our planet. They basically indicated that this is deteriorating at an alarming rate. Some of the vital signs already in use include, for example, they look at things like the temperature anomalies, they look at carbon dioxide, the rate at which is emitted. They also look at the global mean sea level. And what they have identified is, looking at these vital signs, they point to the fact that if care is not taken, would be in massive trouble with regards to our climate. And one of the things they've also identified is a major cause for climate, well, a major cause for the need for looking into our climate is basically down to human activities, which basically means if we change some of our activities, we might be able to mitigate some of the challenges that arise from climate change. Now, there are so many impacts on what continent, what parts of the world will be impacted a lot by climate change. But the truth of the matter is the impacts are already being felt globally. And that's basic, especially in Africa. And that's basically because not too much discussion has been done on that. But the impact will be felt even in Africa. Research indicates that 7 of the 10 countries that would be most vulnerable to climate change are in Africa. In 2015, 4 countries out of 10 ranked to be the countries that will be most affected by climate change were from Africa. So that basically means climate change basically something we should be discussing enormously in Africa. So climate change, what can it do? Climate change, one, could destabilize local markets. It could increase things like food insecurity. It could limit economic growth. It could also increase the risk for agriculture sector investment. And so that's basically why a climate emergency has been declared in over 30 countries. And the good thing is under the Paris Agreement, particularly at COP21, most countries agreed to take collective actions on climate change. And the basic idea is to keep the global temperature increase to no more than 2 degrees above pre-industrial levels. So another key reason, apart from the environmental aspect, is also the fact that climate change, basically one of the reasons why so many countries are looking to invest, why there are so many research on net zero emission, is because there are a lot of dependency. A lot of countries depend on other countries for fossil fuels and for energy. And so what investing in research, investing in development with regards to net zero and in energy, what it does, it basically gives countries the ability to be stable economically without being dependent on foreign imports for fuel, for example. So climate change and investing in climate change is also is a key proponent to consider when we're talking about economic stability as well. And what we've seen from research is the development of low carbon alternatives is a must when you're thinking about net zero. So you can't talk about net zero without thinking about development of low carbon alternatives, development of different routes, use of biomethane, use of hydrogen, and different ways by which we can decarbonize our community. So climate change provides an opportunity for climate change provides an opportunity for economic stability in Africa. And so with investment into climate change, we could reduce dependency on foreign fuels, and it could also provide an opportunity for Africa to harness its huge resources and potential. And it could also help with us achieving our sustainable development goals. Addressing climate change. Sorry, can you see my screen? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, because I wasn't too sure. Yes. So so just to continue, achieving climate change, investing in climate change is quite important for Africa. Well, because one, we will be affected by some of the challenges and will be hit in some parts the most by some of the challenges being posed by climate change. And so one of the main things, obviously, when compared to a lot of developed countries, is Africa, we need to think about a realistic roadmap. It might be a different approach, but it has to be effective. And it's basically looking at how we can industrialize, how we can develop, whilst also looking at, because in most cases, industrialization and development leads to an increase in carbon emissions. So we have to find a way to industrialize develop whilst also not increasing our carbon emissions significantly at the same time. Because if we don't do that, obviously, it could lead to even more poverty in Africa. Okay. So I would start with looking at some of the ways, for example, in the UK, some of the ways they're looking at achieving net zero. The United Kingdom has a strategy to achieve net zero by 2050. It's law binding, which basically means it's something that they have to invest into, and it's something they have to be committed into as well. There's some parts of the UK actually that are actually looking at achieving net zero way faster than 2050. For example, there's some regions that are looking at 2035, some regions looking at 2040. And it's the same situation around Europe, where a lot of countries have basically given a timeline. Most people have said 2050, but a lot of developed countries are looking at 2040, looking at 2035. So that basically means research and essential developments are being carried out now. An example of that is first, through buildings and eating. And one of the things that has been identified, particularly in the UK, is the fact that to achieve net zero, they need to think about how to heat their buildings, obviously due to the climate. The eating sector in the UK, for example, uses a lot of energy, and most of those energy is taken from fossil fuel at the moment. And so they understand that achieving net zero, the buildings and eating sector, which attributes, I think, about 30 to 35% of their greenhouse gas, has to be decarbonized. And so one of the things they've looked at for that is, for example, looking at electrification, looking at an hybrid method of heating the homes using electric heat pumps, for example, and ensuring that the pumps are also fueled using renewable energy, use of renewable and low carbon gases like biomethane or blue and green hydrogen. I'll be talking more about this later, so I wouldn't dwell on this yet. So aside from the building, there's so many projects on this. For example, the H21 project, there's so many projects like the I48. And the major reason why I'm mentioning those projects is to let you know that it's not just talk. There are a lot of projects going on right now to ensure that by 2035, by 2040, by 2050, there will be zero emissions from eating. The other major sector is through transport. Transport, once again, is a big contributor to emissions. And one of the things that we're looking at as at now is moving from petroleum fueled cars like diesel and petrol, and moving to a mix of low carbon energy fuels like hydrogen and electric vehicles. Now, if you've looked around, you'll notice that the uptake of this vehicles, particularly FCEVs, are on the rise, particularly in Europe. And that's basically because from, I believe, 2035 in the UK, for example, it would shift majorly from the use of petroleum-based fuels for transport, and would have to move to low carbon energy. The other thing we're looking at is also behavioral and societal change. So, for example, do we all have to have cars? Do we all have to be on the road? Can we have communal transportation? Can people use buses more? Can we cycle more? And it's just basically having a thought around, for example, if we have, I used to live in Nigeria, and I understand the traffic situation, for example, in Lagos. And there's sometimes we're all going to the same place. Basically, can we have people share cars? Can we have people use the bus system more? Can that be developed more? And so having those societal change is quite critical as well when we are thinking of net zero, because obviously the more cars you have on the street, particularly if they're using petroleum-based fuels, the more energy you use and the more emissions. So one of the things we're looking at is also ensuring we can sensitize people on, if, for example, you have a neighbor going to the same building as yourself, can you both use the same car? Can you ensure the car is running on low carbon fuels? And if you're, for example, just going to a shop which is a mile away from you, can you cycle? Can you walk? And so just looking at that, there are a lot of investment in, for example, sensitization of people. There are a lot of investment in developing infrastructure for the use of hydrogen, for example, using dedicated pipelines, looking at the quality issues from there. And there are also law and policies with regards to ensuring that this is enforced. So, for example, ending the use of, ending the sale of cars and vans using petrol and diesel by 2035, which basically means from 2035, you wouldn't be able to buy those cars in the UK. You would have to buy a car with one of the low emission technologies deployed. And there are also strategies, for example, for our trains to run on, for example, hydrogen as well. So with regards to power and industries, almost the same scenario. A lot of emissions come from industries, and that's the same globally. It's not just Europe. You have that even in Africa, where a lot of our industries, especially power industries, do actually produce loads of emissions, and we have to find a way to decarbonize that as well. And so the key way we're looking at doing this is, for example, having consultation with industry, understanding their carbon footprint, looking at if we could introduce things like carbon capture and storage for processes that cannot be moved into renewable energy, looking for ways by which we can introduce electrification, for example, looking for a way, for example, there's so many companies that produce so much energy. Now the question is, do they actually need to produce that amount of energy? Because we've seen cases where more energy than required is used for processes. So for example, if you modify processes, if you intensify processes, you would require less energy. With requiring less energy, that also means you can reduce emissions. So it's also looking at processes, ensuring that people are not producing more than they need. And that way, we're also looking at developing policies, for example, on decarbonizing the power sector. So achieving net zero, other sectors, one key aspect is with regards to bioenergy, crop planting, forestation, setting up policies against deforestation, for example. Once again, societal change and reduction in meat and dairy consumption, reduce emissions, for example, from waste and landfill. And the best way of doing that, once again, is sensitization. Are there ways we can curb burning of waste in not doing it appropriately, so that there are ways we can basically have facilities where they are done appropriately and safely, and that's basically because emissions from waste as well is quite key, and it's basically something that needs to be controlled with regards to society, because I mean, I could wake up and decide to burn waste, and if there are no policies against that, then yes, that would be myself also contributing a little. But I mean, when you think about the amount of people doing it, then it does add a big chunk into emissions being produced. But are there laws around bush burning? How do we sensitize people once again with regards to that as well? So those are things we're looking at. And so I think I've talked, this is just a summary of basically everything I've looked at. One of the key things we're looking at is energy efficiency, looking at different processes, looking at different organizations, looking at what they produce, what methods and what processes they're using. Are there ways for us to intensify those processes to ensure that less energy is required? They're also looking at societal choices, for example, in transport, having people walk instead of taking their cars. I understand not so many people like walking, but it's good in so many fronts. It helps us reduce our emissions and also helps us physically as well. So looking at societal choices, looking at ways we can sensitize the people, particularly people in rural areas, with regards to some of the methods. For example, for example, it's almost summer around here, which basically means there will be more barbecues being carried out. That's also going to increase increase emissions. I mean, I love a good barbecue as well, but are there ways we could, or are there processes we can look at to ensure that there are no emissions from activities like that? And that's basically because when you're looking at emissions, even the little emissions matter because they also go into your carbon footprint. Then we're also looking at electrification of so many processes. For example, heating for homes, using hybrid pumps and using electric pumps for heating the homes, looking at different technologies like solar, wind, and how they can assist us, and also looking at alternative energy like hydrogen and biomethane, and also looking at things like carbon capture and storage and how that could be embedded into processes that are being utilized as it now. So, looking at Europe, for example, there's a big shift from moving from natural gas to biomethane and hydrogen. A key reason for this is one, most countries from Europe, well, some countries in Europe, particularly the UK, for example, do import a lot of the fossil fuels being utilized, and they do have at least some, or in most cases, most resources that can be used to produce renewable fuels like hydrogen and biomethane, which is safer. So moving to the likes of hydrogen and biomethane helps them with one, reducing imports with regards to natural gas and petroleum fuels, and it also gives them more energy security, more security basically, with the fact that they spend less money in importation and they are basically self-sustaining as well. And I think that outlook is being shared around Europe. And once again, in other countries, like in America as well, they're also looking at diversifying to renewable fuels. This is just giving an outlook, for example, in Europe, just so you have an understanding of how some of these gases will play a part. So, for example, biomethane will be utilized in buildings, in industry, in power, in transport, and hydrogen will be used in several sectors as well. And that's just basically ensuring that we move to renewable energy. So I'll just give an example of a project, and then I'll be able to take any questions afterwards. So this, for example, is a project I was involved with. It was called the hydrogen from the grid, and the basic idea is to channel hydrogen through the grid or through the networks, the gas networks in the UK, and basically use that for transportation. Now, one of the, just to give a background of the project, one of the key things for the UK, for example, is the fact that we've got, well, most of the gas we use for heating, for example, comes from our centralized networks. So we do have distribution networks that basically channel the gas or natural gas utilized as at now for heating. And it's the same thing. Now, if one of the things we are trying to do as at now is to ensure those networks move from natural gas, for example, and they move into what we call repurposed or new networks, and that's basically networks carrying the likes of low carbon fuels like hydrogen and biomethane. And so what we're looking at is repurposing those networks from natural gas and moving it into hydrogen. So this particular project was focused majorly on hydrogen, and that's basically because one of the main proponents, particularly if you want to decarbonize transport, is using hydrogen basically. And so we're looking at a way to sustainably have the gas networks carry hydrogen and basically have that distributed by the UK gas grid and basically use that for transport. Now, why this was key is because one of the problems with renewable energy at the moment is the fact that it can't compete with regards to price with conventional fuels at the moment. And one of the key reasons for that is there's a very, very huge cost of distribution of hydrogen from where it's being produced to the consumer. But if we can have hydrogen moving through the network, then the UK has networks around, well, everywhere. The network is called, the grid is connected to most parts of the UK. So if you can have hydrogen going through those pipelines, then it might reduce the cost because you have a centralized supply of hydrogen, and what that does is you basically have that distributed at the end user. So basically it's just looking at the cost, and what we achieved with this project was look at the feasibility, and we also looked at, for example, the network. One of the key things for transport and hydrogen is the fact that high purity is required, or high quality, and we tried to look at what contaminants or what purity levels will be achieved from hydrogen through the network. And the major reason for this project, and the major reason why I'm stressing on this, is just so we know and we are aware that yes, there are a lot of talk about the climate emergency, a lot of countries talking about it, but there are actually projects. There are actually projects carried out as of now to ensure those commitments with regards to net zero are achieved. And this is one, for example, one of such projects. And the basic idea is also in Africa, we need to start thinking about projects that can be carried out to help us with any commitment. So it's not just about making commitment, but also ensuring we have the means to go about it. And so this is the right time to do that, so we're not left behind. In summary, looking at Africa, realistic and achievable policies and routes to net zero is essential as part of development plans in Africa, especially with the fact that we at Africa will be affected by climate change the most. So it's essential as at now, we need to take it as an emergency to have realistic and achievable policies. We have to ensure projects with regards to achieving those policies are being set into play. So for example, if you have a commitment from government that you want to achieve net zero, for example, in 2015, you have to start thinking about what projects, what routes you have to take. And if you're going to use, for example, some of the renewable gases that I've discussed earlier, you have to start thinking of, for example, Africa is rich in available resources. How can these be resources, for example, biomass, be utilized in our commitments for net zero? You have to start thinking about carrying out mini projects as at now with the aim of upscaling with regards to ensuring we meet those commitments. So there must be fervent commitments, for example, from government or also on net zero. One of the key things that is being enjoyed in Europe is inter-country and continental collaboration. That also has to be done in Africa, where we should have inter-country and continental collaboration with regards to our net zero targets. And finally, sensitization and education, particularly in the rural areas, on the need or societal change that must be carried out to ensure we meet net zero. And thank you for your attention. My name is Femi. Once again, I could be contacted via LinkedIn for any collaborations, but I'll be happy to take any questions now.
Amazing, Dr. Femi. Thank you so very much for such an inspiring section. And wow, it's a lot to take in. And actually, for someone like me that is doing informatics for climate change, you actually mentioned some aspects in which I'm actually currently working on. For example, there was a project, one of the students from the previous batch had done something similar to the use of the use of electric vehicles, and then the thing is that Africa, it's not like we don't have the brains for it, it's not like we don't have the passion for it, but the system for it to work is what we're actually lagging behind. So before I actually ask my question, I know time, we're already kind of run out of time. Someone is raising his hand, so someone, please, you can have the mic and action.
Thank you, Folashade, appreciate it. And thank you, Mr. Femi. I don't know if you're a doctor yet. I was thinking, I saw doctor. Do you have a PhD yet? It'd be good to know.
Yes, I am a doctor. Yes.
Thank you. So let me call you, in the UK, if you don't call the doctor, you're in trouble. So Dr. Femi, thank you for the lecture, and a great project to have worked on in relation to hydrogen. I'm very passionate about environmental solution, but in the aspect of economics. So again, in economics, I'll use this scenario and then I'll ask my question. In economics, when we push inflation to 0%, let's say the bank, there's an inflation that reaches zero. It's not balanced in economics. They will say there's nothing, you can't bring the inflation down to zero. So in net zero, we're saying that we need to bring it to a net zero, right? Which means that UK can go further ahead of us, and then they'll create an economy moving backward. So my question is going to this. You mentioned that for Africa to do this, we need this commitment from the government, from people, societal change, many of these things. And you've inspired us through projects that's been done. Many of these innovations, these innovation projects like this hydrogen one, do not reach Africa until a very long period of time. What would you suggest? I know it's a question that comes out of your own space, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts because, I also grew up there with you, and I had to leave them and come back to my country to start to push it from here because I felt that there would not be a convergence. There will be how do you say it now? They will misuse us again. They will throw all the trash, the waste to us. This time now, it's not like they will be collecting our resources. They will send us resources, but the resources will not be what we need. They will send us cars and all those things that they don't need, so that they will not be clean, and then we will not be dirty, and they will start from dirty to now start cleaning ourselves again, which will now take a whole long circular. You get where I'm coming. So how do we apart from just this commitment, what do you suggest about transferring those innovations? What practical steps do you think that we can use to transfer those innovations from these net zero system and start transferring them to our community here? How do we do it? Working with projects here. What do you suggest to people that have ideas of them connecting, bringing that innovation and setting it up in Nigeria and pushing it so that the convergence happens faster before they turn us to a trash place?
Yeah, I thanks so much for the question, and I totally understand where you're coming from. I think one of the key things we need to look at as Africans, we don't have to play second fiddle. Yes, we might not be as developed. Yes, we might not be, but everyone with regards to thinking about climate change, everyone is basically starting with research. And so there's no need for us to wait 30 years when the research has already been done, then take information from Europe. We have, I did during my PhD, I did a review, for example, on renewable resources in Africa. And if you do a review like that as well, you would realize that Africa is blessed with available resources that some of the developed countries per se do not have. And so we do have some advantage. We have, for example, Nigeria as unlimited, well, not unlimited, but when you're thinking about biomass resources, for example, Nigeria has a big magnitude when compared to other countries. And when you look at that, there's no need for us to, because, for example, I work in the UK. I can tell you most of the research we do here will basically be ways for the UK to be sustainable in 2050. That's just the truth. In Africa, we don't need to wait for research being carried out in the UK. You don't need to wait for, because what will potentially happen is 2035 will ban the sales of petroleum-based cars. And you're right. There's the high chance most companies who produce cars will still want to produce cars. And if Europe wouldn't take it, if America wouldn't take it, you can start thinking about what continent it goes to. But why can't we think as Africans as well that we don't need to play, we don't need your cars as well? But that to get there, we need to think constructively. We have to have governments that are ready to put policies in place. For example, once again, during my research, I found out that Nigeria, for example, has like policies of renewable energy. But when you think about implementation, when you think about how far we have gone, you would understand that there's really not too much commitment in ensuring some of the things we have said. So, for example, when you go to some of the summits, African Union summits, or when you go into some of COP21, for example, African leaders have made commitments as well with regards to net zero. But it's not just about making those commitments. We have the resources to push research towards that area. Now, the government in the UK, the government in Europe, they're pushing so much money into that investment. We need to look into doing that as well. Yes, I understand we also have petroleum-based fuels as well, but that's not the only resource we have. When you're thinking about things like agriculture, when you're thinking about things like waste management, there's still a lot we can do. And we don't need Western influences to make those research. We can do that even as Africans. We can promote privatization if the government promote privatization with regards to having this research done. But it is essential. It is essential that we join at this point. We don't need to wait for 20 years. Because you're right, in 20 years, if we have not researched, we'll be playing second fiddle, and all they would send to us is leftovers. If we join now that the research is still hot, everyone is thinking about it, hydrogen professionals are getting jobs everywhere. If we join now during the research phase and we go in as collaborators, as we go in as partners, that means we will not be left behind. And that's why discussions like this are quite paramount, because it's essential that we join now. We can't join next year, we can't join in 10 years time. We have got to join now, else once again we'll be left behind.
I mean, I appreciate you. I just have to say, sorry, Futuresavers. I just got to say this. I appreciate you just putting it that way, that it starts from us. So we need to do something. I was having an idea as you were saying this. I was like, in Lagos, for instance, they told the people to convert their cars. They should bring their cars to this place for free to convert their cars to a particular type of gas. I'm sure nobody took their car they won. Maybe they didn't believe that their government could do this. And they thought, if I convert my car, what is it going to do for me? Where will I even buy the fuel to do it? So things like this, I thought to myself, if somebody had an idea, they could make that conversion place a place to even sell to Volkswagen or something, where they can bring cars, convert it in Lagos and transport it to Togo or somewhere in Africa, because we have the after. Such ideas like these are the innovations that I'm saying that the Western world are already far ahead. People like yourself, Femi, you're already far ahead. If you started to think of us in Africa and bring those innovations to us through your research, it'd be interesting. But most times they try to put your research into their net zero. And that's what I'm saying. If you think of it, this net zero, and I'm just giving you something as well that maybe we could write together as well. The net zero that they're talking about, what would be the measure of it to the sustainability of the rest of the world? Is it that UK will do it and then sell us something again that will be now very expensive? Because think about what you're saying about the price of hydrogen. Or would it be something that we start to balance together at the same time that will now bring about a new economy? This is something I want you to also think about. And we can talk about, I will find your LinkedIn and message you more about this part that I'm talking about. Yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
I'll be happy for that collaboration. Yes.
Thank you, Femi.
Right.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Femi, it's really an interesting topic. Like, I had a question before I had to allow someone. Maybe we can just link up. And then if you have questions for Dr. Femi, please just put it in the chat, because we don't want to take our time today, and so that we can move on to the next presentation. It's really an honor again to have you, Dr. Femi. So please engage us in the chat. Engage Dr. Femi in the chat for your questions. So over to you, Shay.
All right. It's a very interesting presentation from you, Dr. Femi, and I really want to appreciate you for your time and the knowledge you've imparted on every one of us today. And thanks for engaging, Samuel. That's a nice engagement from you. And I believe a lot of people are learning from this. Actually, without taking much of our time, we have a young guy who is going to be talking to us, and then he has it's going to be like a project presentation of what he is doing. His name is Amoo Faruq Olamide. He is the project coordinator at Mundo for Africa, an organization that is focused on fighting the waste crisis in Nigeria through recycling and sensitization of local communities. He is the General Secretary of Social Science Students Association of Ogun State. Faruq is a GIS analyst and an Earth explorer and a project developer. So Faruq, it's over to you. You can turn on your camera. I was told that you will be showing your factory and what you're doing in terms of plastic recycling. So over to you. Kindly make it snappy so that we don't take much time today. Thank you.
It's a great privilege to be here today, to see every new face, and also to have been seeing all the people who have always been talking about climate change, about the earth. It's a great privilege. So, mostly my name is Amoo Faruq. I'm the project coordinator of Mundo for Africa. where we are trying to solve waste crisis in Africa majorly. And it's majorly focused on environment and education, those are our two goals. Waste crisis, impact of waste crisis on environment and education. So I would like to share my partner's screen so we can start talking on it. Can you all see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
So at Mundo for Africa, our aim is for people to know that waste is value, waste is worth, and waste has been a means of survival for the earth, where we all can see how the earth is a value to us and how our waste is a value to us. So waste as an externality of the increase of consumption continues to be a big problem in the world, and particularly in Africa. Everybody knows that waste in Africa is very large. Hope you all can hear me.
Sure, we can hear you clearly.
Though waste collection service in most African countries are inadequate, more than 90% of the waste generated is deposited at uncontrolled dump sites and landfill. Just like the case scenario of Lagos State, where you have the Olusosun dump site, you can see how it's very kind of filled up right now. A lot of issues happening there right now, but it's our own work for everybody to know that this kind of things is not right. For you to determine more than where you are, for you to know that, oh, this place I am, I have to create a better change, a better offer of where I am today, to make some at least kind of ideology to them. So this year we did an event in Makoko, Waste Impact on Education, where money we got from our recyclable materials, we sold up to obstacles. We use it to sponsor children who are schooling in Makoko by giving them books and also pens and biro for them to continue their education. And also, we always give them an awareness talk on the environment for them to know that no, don't let this environment be a downgrade to me. Let it be an upgrade to you. Because the way you take your environment is the way your environment will take you. You just don't have to look down to your environment. So our message keep on spreading from there. We have our recyclable factory at Surulere, where we just started last year. We recyclable PET bottles, HDPE, LDPE, and other recyclable materials. So from here, people can make a living. At least when you try to say, okay, oh, these are my recyclable materials, and you have to keep it here. Okay, oh, when you are done at the end of the day, bring it here. We pay you for your materials. You bring HDPE, LDPE, PET, and other materials. You have to let people know. You know, it's just a form of survival for people to know that no, okay, my waste is a value to me. I can turn my waste to cash and I can make money from it. So when we started our factory this last year, at least we've collected a minimum of 250 tons of materials. Recyclable materials, 250 tons, almost 250,000 tons of recyclable materials, including PET, LDPE, HDPE, PS, PVC, and PP, and others again. And again, we've created an employment opportunity for people to be able to employ. And apart from creating an employment opportunity for people, it's just a form of survival where people will know that, so I can be working for environmental sustainability. You know, working for the environment is not just about you making money. It's about you having the passion and determination of creating a change. That is one of the ideology, having the passion and determination of creating a change for people to hereby know that, oh, you're working, or just not that I'm working to make a living, I'm working to build a house. No, you're working for sustainability that even your great grandchildren will be able to benefit from it. So we've employed over 65 workers in our factory, including young women and young guys who are passionate about the environment. And apart from that, we have our vision and our mission. Currently, our vision right now is to have at least monthly cleanup where we know that we do cleanups every month, and make sure that it's not just about us doing cleanup. It's about us doing that. After doing the cleanup in this place, people try to find a means of survival from where we do the cleanup. Because you can't expect us to do a cleanup here, and the next maybe 1 or 2 months we still find dead there. It doesn't go that way. It's kind of a place that when we do a cleanup here, plants start to grow, animals start to be there, and people start to make a living from there. So that is one of the goals, that you find this as a means of survival and using it positively, not negative. Using it as a means of survival positively to create a positive change. And we spread our awareness in over at least 3 countries in Africa, including Nigeria, Ghana, and Benin Republic. And we have at least maybe 4 to 5 collection centers in Nigeria, which we have at least 4 in Lagos, and we also have 2 in Ghana. So we normally do collection of recyclable materials, and we pay them in cash, and we sell to Africans. We normally do bring some innovation and creativity to the waste materials, instead of it just going to the landfill, just going to the ocean. No, at least when you recycle your materials, you are creating a change. So our focus is to spread our awareness all over Nigeria. Not only Nigeria, Africa as a whole. But we know the issue of Nigeria, Lagos being the highest population in Africa, Lagos City having the highest population in Africa. And any place that there's an high population, there's always a lot of waste generated from there. So when you have a lot of waste generated from there, it's kind of a means of revenue to the people. And it's kind of a means of advantage to the people to know that, when waste is being generated, we can create a lot of value from it and put in our creativities and our innovation. And also, apart from creativities and innovation, culture. We can also put our culture towards the environment. So we spread our awareness all over Nigeria, Ghana, and Benin Republic. So we are a group of passionate young guys who are trying to create a change. Not just a small change, a big change where people will know how value the environment is, how value everything about the environment is. And we've done several events all over the world. So I would like people to know that the environment sustainability is not just a goal for a person to achieve. It's a collective goal for everybody to know that we all have to get engaged. We all have to get engaged in it and get part. Yeah? We all have to get engaged in and get participated in the goal to create a sustainability for our future generation. At Mundo for Africa, we are working to create impact of waste crisis on technology advancement, education, environment, SDG goals, healthcare management, transportation system, and some other form of aspects and other aspects of God. So kindly follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn and Twitter at Mundo for Africa. Okay.
Thank you so much. This is a fantastic, a wonderful presentation by you, and I'm really, really impressed. And I know a lot of people is also feeling the same wave. And I just can we please mute our So what you guys are doing is actually fantastic, and we can feel your vibe, we can feel the energy. because when it comes to waste, not everybody can actually really indulge in this passionately. I know that also in Futuresavers, we do beach cleanups, we do cleanup, and we know, we can tell from our experience how, people perceive us, like maybe we are really jobless, or this is not something we should be doing. This should be left for the government to do. But then it is not just about cleaning the environment that they live. You are not living in that environment. They are the one polluting the environment, but you are there to tell them and to sensitize them that cleaning of their environment is their responsibility, and then they should take it. And I think I love that part where you said you're trying to bring sustainability in what you do. That is, you are not just going into an environment, you clean it this month, in the next 1 month, you go back there, it's all dirty again. That means you're not impacting them. I think the most important thing you are doing while cleaning and collecting those waste is trying to let them understand that there is worth in waste and there is opportunity in waste, and you have created such opportunity for them. And for them to see that you're not just going there, but you're also creating opportunity for them. You are changing their mentality, their orientation, or the way they see their environment, for them to embrace the environment. Someone said some time ago that an average Nigerian who travels abroad, who travels to Europe, will never throw a trash on the ground or on the floor. But when he gets back to Nigeria, he can do whatever he likes. It shows how much we love our country. It shows if we truly respect our country. And for you, giving this type of mentality, passing this type of mentality and orientation, I think is a game changer, especially for the people of Makoko that lives in the slum. I mean, if people in the slum can still think that we can clean our environment, or our environment is good, we shouldn't think about the environment as a bad environment that we should keep, we should keep polluting. I think that's a nice idea, and I really want to appreciate what you're doing. And if anybody is willing to ask questions from Amoo, maybe I can just entertain one or two. But I would also say that you should put your social media handle on the chat so that people can easily follow you. Someone just asked me for that. So you could just, people can follow your handles directly and they can connect with you, okay? And with your team. So thank you so much. If there is any question, I'm just going to allow one person to ask 1 or 2 questions, and then, but maybe before then, I would like to ask one question, Faruq. What do you exactly do? Is it recycling, total recycling that you do, or you just match those plastic into pallets and then resell, or you recycle and make another product out of it? Because I can see that you have a very big factory there from what you showed us. But what kind of recycling do you do? Is it just crushing and making it into powders, or put it in pallets or whatever? What is the end goal, or what is the end product of whatever you are recycling? I just want to have the idea of the end product of what you are recycling, and where does it go to, or who do you supply?
Yeah, in our factory, we recycle PET, LDP, HDP, and we crush it.
Okay.
So after crushing it, there are some people, off-takers, who get the materials and export it out to create other products from it. And apart from that, there are some kind of people who come into our factory to collect plastic and put in their own creativity to it. So it's just like having a group of a plastic home, and people will say, okay, I need plastic like this. I want to do something to it. I want to create something about it. So those are one of the angles. Apart from we selling to off-takers and also using that money to fund some kind of event, clean up, and also for people to generate employment opportunity. There are some kind of people who also come to our factory to collect materials and also putting their own creativity to it, at least. So those are the things we do.
Oh, thank you so much. Do you buy the idea of banning single-use plastic in Nigeria? Do you buy the idea?
Well, I can't ban the idea of planning to ban single-use plastic. No, it's kind of unfair.
Why do you think so?
You know, I've told you right from time, it's just a means of survival.
Okay.
It's a means of survival for everybody to know. Because, okay, apart from saying banning single-use plastic in Nigeria, there are some kind of other materials which are dangerous to the earth. Apart from plastic, there are some other materials which are dangerous to the earth that are AKO. We need this. We have to use it.
Ask that question differently.
Yeah?
I think we need to ask that question differently, Mr. Amoo. I don't think you got the question. The question was that should we be using plastic one time? Should you just use one, throw it away, use it, throw it away.
Single use of plastic.
Yeah, so we should literally have
Okay, you know what you are trying to say is the 3Rs: reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I want to know if you are teaching people and you're encouraging people to reduce plastic use as well. Because yes, this is the mentality that some people have, like, oh, there is an opportunity in waste. But let me tell you, the reality is this. I don't think we recycle even up to 10% or 5% of the plastic we consume in Nigeria. Okay. So I'm not saying that it's your campaign, your campaign, because I know you also campaign against plastic, even if you are recycling plastic, yes. Right? Yes. So I'm saying your campaign, does it include reducing and stopping the production of single-use plastic as well? You understand what I mean? That's just my question. I thanks Samuel for coming.
Yes, abandoned of single-use plastic, it's totally dangerous. Because at least, apart from you drinking water from your plastic, there are still some other kind of things you can still use the plastic for. So, and again, you can see that a lot of waste is being generated in Nigeria, Lagos as a whole. So when you use the plastic, you throw it away, and you use another plastic, you throw it away. It keep on getting more congested.
That's the answer.
It's getting out of control.
Perfect.
So that is it.
Thank you so much, Faruq. We really enjoyed your explanation. Someone is raising, maybe just for the last time. Uche, please, quickly, and then Folashade can take over.
Okay, sorry. Can you guys hear me? So I wanted to ask about the plastics. Is it possible? Is it possible to have like a small generated recycling machine? You understand, that can be planted in some places, maybe in Lagos, rather than taking those 3 tons to your company? Is it possible for there to be like a small one generated for each household or family, or if it is possible, how much would it cost and all those things? I would also like to connect to you as well, if that's possible.
Okay, you know what I'll first say? After using your plastic, there are different processes that has to get to it before it gets being crushed. And one of the process of plastic and one of the issue of plastic in Nigeria as a whole is collection. Plastic collection is totally hard in Nigeria, where people still don't have that ideology of say, okay, after using your plastic, put it here. And after doing the collection, there's still what we call sorting. And after the sorting, there's still what we call baling. And after baling, crushing is the final step. So these 4 procedures have to be gone through plastic before it can be totally off, as in sold to off-takers or people who want to use it for creativity. So having that idea of say, okay, when you have a small quantity of plastic, maybe you could run. Plastic is something that it takes large quantity to have your money and to have that kind of enjoyment from it. So having a single plastic in a small quantity won't really be encourageable. It has to be in a large quantity so that it can be easy for transportation and some other costs alone. And also, apart from you crushing it in a small quantity, piling it up, it's another advantage. Say, okay, let me pile it up. When it is in a large quantity, I will sell to off-takers.
All right. Thank you. I think I got your answer. And from what Uche is saying, we have seen in some developed countries, in restaurants, where they ask you to bring your little plastic and they crush it right in front of you because there is a small machine.
Yeah, there's a small machine.
It's not something like maybe not in every household, maybe in restaurant, right? Or maybe in some kiosk in town where people can just bring their stuff. Because how many people we know that you're in Lagos, for example? But if we have a lot of outlets, for example, with smaller machine that can just crush at that spot, clean plastic, of course, maybe bottled waters or plastic bottled waters and all that. I think that would really be encouraging. I know we are going to get there, definitely. Chimezie Atama, you are going to be the last person. I just want to give you the opportunity to ask your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Faruq, thank you for that wonderful presentation. Mine is not necessarily a question. I just want to make a comment, a kind of contribution. Yeah, I appreciate your presentation on how you are trying to recycle plastic. However, what I want to say is that it's very good to recycle plastic. It's very good to reuse it. But then my own take is that we should place more emphasis on how to reduce it in terms of the production. Exactly. Like you were saying about single-use plastic. Yeah, we must begin to campaign on how we reduce single-use plastic. But my major worry is how do we do this if we don't have alternative? So what will be an alternative for plastic use? There are a lot of sustainable things around that we don't usually place emphasis on. For instance, I know that in Akwa Ibom in Nigeria, for instance, there are some beautiful baskets that when you see them carrying, it makes sense. It is usually appealing and it makes it look homey, seeing people shopping with those baskets. But these are the things we pay less emphasis on. But not until we begin to redirect people into an alternative, things they can use, that are not plastic. I don't think we'll be able to make any headway. But you find that most of these things that are sustainable, people don't usually value it. Sometimes I see people carrying baskets around in the market. You find that people don't, take it as anything. But I think that if we begin to incorporate some of these sustainable best practices in our campaign, as environmentalists, as activists in this area, it will go a long way in helping to redirect people, to know that without using this, look at what you can use. And if you use this, it will be like this, it will be like that. The same way, when I was growing up as a child, in the village, there are these leaves that people use in tying food, cooking food, something like okpa. Those from Nigeria should be familiar with maybe what I'm talking about, especially those from the East. So you find that people tie their food in leaves as they are cooking it. If you go to the market to buy some things, it's being tied with leaves. Some of these leaves are going extinct. People are no more farming them. You can't even find it. So these are little things I think we should be, directing people to and making it part of our campaign, so that as we are telling people not to use plastic, we are saying you can use this, you can use this. And some of these things are also, could also provide a kind of empowerment, even for young people. For instance, I run an organization, Equity Watch Initiative. Part of what we are trying to do now is to introduce basket making, even for women in rural communities. Mm-hmm. And, those are the things I think we should be doing, because this plastic, if we continue the way we are going, everybody will be doomed. You are talking about Lagos maybe because you are in Lagos. It is like that all over Nigeria. I live in a university community. It is worse even inside the university community. That is to tell you that the thing has no respect for class. It is all over. So let us strategically begin to think of how we can redirect people to sustainable practices. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that is really, really what I'm personally in support of. People should look into alternatives, to plastics. You should, I remember growing up, my mom used to go to the market with kind of a basket. It is that same basket she will use to shop every market day, like every time. Nobody brings plastic. But now plastic is everywhere. I don't know why, but I think the truth is we need to close the tap of plastic because we are getting more plastic than we actually need now. You know, we are getting more plastic than we actually need. People are not reusing. If you get to an average Nigerian kitchen right now or pantry, you will see loads of bags of plastic, which is quite really insane. I mean, we need to work on that, and we need to encourage, come up with products that are sustainable, that are alternative to plastic. I think that will really make a lot of sense. And a lot of people are making products even out of that plastic. I have someone who makes bags, who makes who makes a lot of maybe sandals, belts from plastic. I think we can look into that, and even upcycling is also good. So
yeah. That is one of the idea, because these kind of things are all innovation. It's just for someone to have the ideology of putting your own innovation and creativity towards it that will lead to sustainability. Majority of things that we ourselves normally get engaged in are always on a negative impact on the earth. Majority of what we always get engaged. But we have to start thinking on a positive way, on a positive way, so that it can be in a positive outcome. Majority, see, assuming cars now, cars that people ride now, it's kind of a negative impact to the environment, but people still need to use it. But you just have to use it in a positive way that at least, like someone who did the presentation first now, we all need cars to move from one place to another. But these cars are negative impact to the environment.
True.
But how can we use it positively? That it will not be on the negative side to the environment. We can use it in a positive way. So that is one of the ideology. We need this thing. We need it. Plenty of things we are using right now. Plenty of things we are doing right now. We all need it. If we don't need it, we will not use it. But because we need it, but we have to use it in a positive way. Using plastic, it's kind of good but it's kind of dangerous to the environment, to the life on land and life on water. But we ourselves, we have to put in our own creativities to it. That we know that at the end of the day, using this plastic will not go to the ocean. At the end of the day, using this plastic will not kill a fish. At the end of the day, using this plastic will not go into a forest. So that is the ideology. After you use the plastic now, you stockpile it now. Sell it to people that will crush it now, or sell it to people that will bring in some creativity to it. Is that not a means of income? That is a means of income now. That is a means of employment opportunity. That is the ideology. So it's not that you are trying to. We all need all this. Majority of things we are engaging with, we need it. That is why we are engaging with it. But we ourselves, we have to put it in a positive way.
I'm sorry, if I could just say, I'm sorry,
All
Shay, if I could just say something real quick, because Mr. Amoo Faruq is very passionate about making the money, and I hear your voice, I hear it. Wait a second now, and we should make money from the plastic. We should make money. It's all about means of income, employment. Fair enough. I embrace that. But I'm also, I understand sustainability is also, you need money for sustainability. I understand, Mr. Amoo Faruq. I get it. But I'm with Shay on this one, that we must off the tap to plastic. Even the factory, I want to shut it down in my Nigeria. I'm being honest. It's not about a joke. We're not playing here. I know the people that are bringing this investment to set up factories like this here. They are the same people that set up the iron mills, that made the iron mills they are very interesting people. So, but let's not go into that intricacy of conspiracy or information that we cannot share. But what I would say is that I wanted to just support Mrs. Chimeze. I wanted to say something. All this advocacy that we're doing, all these things we're teaching people different ways to do things differently. We're trying to engage their mind differently. So don't use plastic, use a different bag. But we must, again, and that's why I would take from Mr. Amoo Faruq, if he understood what he was saying more about the innovation. So Mrs. Chimeze, things like when you're making that basket now, let the basket be connected to a market. So that the market, you are confident when I'm going to the market now, maybe it's on HR market. Let it be branded with the organization there. Somebody spoke in the last meeting we had about collaboration. Sometimes we design things and we want to just make it our own. But if you create collective branding, it changes mindsets. So, Mr. Meze, when you make that basket now, let the girls go together and present that basket to the market and say, okay, this market, why don't you start using our basket? and all the women in that bucket will now take the basket and sell for them to the people that are coming to buy things from them, so that there's now a branding on it. So wherever you go in that area now, you will know that that branding is related to people doing something related to this. And before you know, people are asking, why you they carry this basket? What is this basket about? Who be these people? What is this brand name? What is this? Even Futuresavers can do that and say, you know what, we want to help Ms. Chimeze and our organization do that sort of branding that helps them to be able to showcase that they are carrying something unique. They are carrying something that is engaging them to save their environment, and they are making money from it. Because the moment this Mr. Faruq's business will continue to thrive, because plastic is still selling. But if we start pushing people to start buying the things that are not the plastic and carrying it as a brand on their shoulder now, people like to show off. Let them wear the suits with the shoulder pad of sustainability. So engage them with enterprising, is what I'll add. And Mr. Faruq, well done. We still want you should continue to sell plastic, fine. But I'm with Sheyi in his own corner saying that we must off the tap to the plastic totally. Thank you so much. I just thought I should say this about engagement and enterprising.
Thank you so
Please,
much.
if I have the floor, I would just like to say one thing, please. Please, Samuel, thank you very much. Thank you for that intervention. I'm worried though. I'm worried because if people that are considered experts in this field, encouraging plastic use is a source of worry for me. Yes, we know that some people are making income out of this, but at least everybody knows that plastic, especially single-use plastic, is doing a lot of harm to us, both our health and the environment. For instance, I know a lot of crops that people usually farm around here. I live in Osuka. People are no more farming because of plastic. You farm, it can't produce anything. You can't get anything from the farm. So it's not about the money you are making from it. It's about the impact it has on both health and the environment. And so there are other plastics that we keep on recycling, that are not single use. If you are going to encourage these things, please, I will advise that at least you concentrate on those ones. For you to be encouraging plastic, I don't think is a good thing for us here, given that we all know what this thing means for everybody. Anyway, people are entitled to their opinion. I'm sorry if you are not comfortable with that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Someone said, what about nylon? Is it not plastic? Of course, anything nylon, cellophane, everything is plastic. Everything is under plastic. So for someone who asked that question in the comment box, everything is plastic. The bottom line is this. The plastic, even in existence in Nigeria now, if Faruq's company wants to start digging into it, in the next 10 years, you will still be recycling, even if we have stopped single-use steel. You understand? So even as a company, so we have enough plastic for you guys to recycle. So that's just the thing. Let us close the tap. I know there are a lot of politics, there are a lot of business thriving as a result of this. We can start with some alternative or sustainable product to replace plastic with. It could be even paper. Paper is not, it's like cutting the tree, but at worst, let's try to reduce it. No matter how, let's try to reduce it. Let's try to encourage people carrying tote bags instead. And I believe that our environment can really, really be cleaner and be more livable and habitable for the biodiversity and human as a whole. Thank you so much. This is a very great conversation and a very educative one. I don't want this conversation to stop here. Ms. Chimeze, Samuel, Faruq, let us continue this conversation. Let's connect. I'm going to put my LinkedIn here, and if anybody wants to connect with me, you can connect with me. Let's collaborate. Let's join hands together to achieve great things. And then for our environment, it must not end here. This is not just about a conversation that must end online. It must also continue offline. And by this time next year, we should be able to come together and say, okay, we have been able to achieve this even after this conference. Thank you so much. Folashade, over to okay, Priyanka, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for that discussion. I think this is what the event is all about. So it was so nice to see everyone engage and have this very meaningful conversation. And just to save time, I'm going to move forward if that's all right. And for the next section, we have a workshop by Dr. Ash and Dr. Norma. And I'm so glad to see Dr. Ash here today after 4 days. We've missed you, Dr. Ash. Thank you for joining us. I don't know if you're still around. Dr. Ash, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've been following the amazing proceedings of the meeting, and I have to convey my apologies for not having been with you in this room over the last 4 days, but I want to say I've been with you in mind, heart, and spirit right through. And excuse me, I want to say that I have been in close touch with the absolutely profoundly inspirational discussions. And like our previous conversation alluded to very clearly, action. And, you know, I know there's been so much wonderful showcasing of activity and initiative by, you know, countless young people from all over the world. And I just want to say my heartiest congratulations. This is exactly what we need. We need to amplify these voices, getting to know each other, keeping in contact, and continuing to pursue this relentless effort. We have a very short window of opportunity, but the important thing is we have an opportunity, and this is it. So I just want to say you're here now is key. And I'm absolutely deeply humbled and honored to be with you. Thank you for having me. And while I haven't been, you know, on any of the sessions per se over the last few days, I've been with you and I've been following the amazing progress. And I want to say there's been so much leadership from all quarters, including a lot of coverage in terms of issues around equity and gender, and I think it's been demonstrated in your sessions. And I think you know, leading by example is what it takes. So that's where you've been, and I'm so proud of everyone here. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ash. I know you've had a very busy week with all the travel, but thank you for joining us in this very important workshop, and also for being there with us in the back end of the entire planning and putting together of this event. And we also have Dr. Norma with us again, as she calls her the mother of this entire group that we have here. So thank you, Dr. Norma, for joining us. I think you're on mute, Dr. Norma.
Thank you, Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia Mexicana, as I call her.
Thank you both.
Thank you. And we also have Naheed from the pop movement joining us for this session. She will also be helping us moderate it. Just to give everyone a quick overview of what we would be doing, we basically would be running through the recent IPCC reports that came out. So of course, Dr. Ash and Dr. Norma have immense experience. Dr. Norma has been a part of one of the working groups. So she's here with us. They both are going to run us through some of the key findings, after which we will have a short interactive session through breakout rooms, where we will be expecting the participants to go into smaller groups and come up with some kind of recommendations and their interpretation of the report, which Naheed will guide us further with. So I will hand it over to Dr. Ash, Dr. Norma, and Naheed to start the session. I have been told to share the screen, so you can let me know, Dr. Norma, how you would like to proceed.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We're delighted, and I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to work with two incredible leaders on this session too. So Dr. Norma and Naheed, many thanks. I'll hand over to them in a minute, but I did want to say thank you to Priyanka, you know, to Fola, to Shia, to Futuresavers, and to each one of you for recognizing the importance of the IPCC in particularly, I want to say, in guiding, you know, our actions, but using the credible information in the science of climate change to guide that action. And I want to say today is a very auspicious day. Apart from being Earth Day, it also happens to be the pop movement's birthday. And I just want to say, you know, we are one family, and I think that that's a key. And while we celebrate you today and every single day of the year, I want to say what is absolutely critical as we get into this session is to note that it's essential we use the science to guide us. And in fact, our own tagline reads "Youth Inspired by Knowledge," because I think one of the most important is to understand we have a proliferation of all kinds of information out there, which sadly can be misleading. And in fact, a lot of the issues we face in the world today are as a consequence of that. But I also want to say, we know through experience that there are a lot of people who don't really know what this issue is. They've heard about it. And we've also found that, you know, and ironically, with a lot of the strikes and marches and things like that that have happened, we've actually had a number of young people who reached out to us subsequent to these, you know, protests, to essentially say, you know, can you now conduct a session with us to tell us what climate change is? Because we know there's something called climate change and it's something that we should push back on, but we don't really know what it is. And I think it's really important. I know through all of your effort, you continue to use credible information in the science of climate change to not just educate, but also inspire action led by young people. And I'll take it one step forward, and through this session, I hope, you know, we'll all walk away with some appreciation of this. It's important that when we amplify our voices, we also talk about what solutions are. And we must also appreciate that we ourselves, or each one of us, can be a solution. And therefore, these actions that we've heard so many of you talk about over the course of the last several days is crucial, because it isn't about someone else. And I want to say that there's a really important example, and this is a true story I'm going to quickly tell you about this group of professional dancers. And they were, you know, practicing for a big performance and everything, you know, amazing dancers. And they had a rather unfortunate incident where one of the dancers was flung up. And the idea was she was obviously to be received as she came down, but nobody put their hands out, and she crash landed and died on the spot. This is like a real story. And then there was a major investigation undertaken. And as they looked into it, it turned out that everybody said, I thought someone else was gonna reach out. And everybody thought that. And so nobody reached out. The result was that she died. And I just want to say that that's really important for us to understand, because this is where disasters happen, where everybody thinks somebody else has to do it. We all have a role to play. And even as we talk, and I know even this year, as the IPCC report is released, the synthesis report is being written as we speak. And prior to the COP, there will be a release of the report. We've recently read, you know, the report of Working Group 3. I want to say that, you know, even as we go out to the COP and we have a number of young people who amplify their voices, you know, it's very important that we talk about what we are doing, what our actions are, and also what solutions are. It's not quite enough to talk about the problem and finger point that, you know, you need to resolve the problem. We all have a role to play. And yes, very clearly, there are two things I'm going to say about the IPCC work that has recently been released, but also what will be released. And one is that there is a huge underscoring of the importance of grassroots movements and action led by youth. This is perhaps not surprising, but it's been underscored by the IPCC report. And so I just want to say, even at policy level, the idea is that the science informs policy, which means governments take action. Important thing is that we are, I think for the first time, really talking about the fact that grassroots movements count, the leadership of young people count, and the action led by youth count, which is right here. So I'm going to say once again, to make this meaningful, it's really important that we understand the science, our role to play what guidance it has for what we're going to do. And then when you get to a point of negotiation, and each one of you should be on the table somewhere, if not on your municipality and local governance, at national level, if not at national level, at international level. And it doesn't have to be this or that. It could be all of the above. And so I'm going to say, and I know of cases of young people we work with who are now youth presidents, young presidents of their parliamentarian setups. And so there are a number of meaningful ways in which you can get engaged even at policy level. But your grassroots action counts, because that is the science is clearly indicating it. And that science now is going to guide policy at the COP and beyond, because the COP is only an event. The important thing is the commitments that happen after that and that we follow up on them. And finally, I'm going to say the report very clearly says we have an even shorter window of opportunity than we originally thought. And that happened with the year before and the year before. And now we have an even smaller window of opportunity. But remember, we have a window of opportunity. And so your actions count. And with that, I'm just going to say, I'm sure today's session is going to be hugely inspiring. We've got the two most amazing people guiding us through this. I'm here to support the facilitation in any which way, but I just want to say thank you very much for bringing this into the meeting today. And I'm going to ask all of you to keep this really close to your heart as you continue your amazing, inspirational action. So thank you very much. Thank you for being family. And let's pop. Let's go for it. Over to you, Dr. Norma. Mamma Mia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Raj. Well, yes, we're going to start, and I will bring you through the historical way where the organizations and programs appears. Since longer than 50 years ago, we started with this fight, and we're still fighting. And like Ash said just now, we had a small window of opportunity, and today it's smaller and smaller and smaller. We really need to act. We really need to do a lot of things. Otherwise, will be the end for this planet. Can you share the screen, please, Priyanka? My presentation is long, but I will talk very quickly. Don't worry, doctor. I will do it. I will manage. Thank you so much. We prepared this presentation for you to make it clear what IPCC is and what the report means and why people is working, who was working in those reports that looks like so many pages, but it's so many years working on it. Go ahead, please, Priyanka. Yeah. Okay. What I wanted to tell you is here I start with our Common Future report that it was released in the 80s, but in reality, the fight started before, sorry. In the 70s, when in the United States, they start to recognize the pollution with some chemical like the DDT, and the Environmental Protection Agency start to work in the 70s. Means that more than 50 years ago, we are facing the problem of the pollution, and now not only the pollution, now is all the damage that the planet is suffering. With this report to start the word of sustainability, we should change the way that we were producing goods. And I think that we didn't change too much. Then the IPCC, that is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, was an idea from United Nations and the World Meteorological Organization, and appears in 1988. After 1988, of course, we faced the UNFCCC, that is the framework to work on climate change council in 92, 94, that is belonging to the United Nations organization, and IPCC is joining this framework. The first program that we faced after 92, the first summit, Earth Summit, was Agenda 21 that we didn't achieve, and then was replaced by the Millennium Goals that we didn't achieve. And then we have now Agenda 2030 that it looks like we will not achieve, and we will move forward with this Agenda 2030. We can go ahead, please. This is only to show you that long time ago we were talking about this, and we're still talking about this, and we don't work enough, and we don't act enough. And I ask to everybody when we want to work and when we want to act. This is an example of the Convention on Climate Change from United Nations. What is the main objective of this group is to stop the concentration of greenhouses in the atmosphere. That was the main. The mitigation is one of the pillars, the columns of the climate change fight, and the other one is adaptation, of course. At that time, we were thinking to prevent the human activity that were looking like very dangerous and were interfering with the climate system. What we did, we wanted to prevent, but we didn't prevent because we are doing that. The group started to work in 94, and we have until now 195 countries around the world that belong to the UN system that signed this kind of force task. And yes, of course, that was a result of what they find out in the first Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 92. We go ahead, please. How it worked, the IPCC. The IPCC was created, like I said, in 88 as an effort from WMO and the UNEP, the Environmental Protection Group from United Nations, is to provide to governments at all levels scientific information. Many scientists around the world are working in this IPCC, looking and evaluating thousands of scientific papers in the three fields that we are working in the IPCC in order to know how we are evaluating with this task and these issues, these scientific results, and what we can do, what we are doing wrong, what we can do better, and how we can change the way that we are behaving toward the environmental. The environment, sorry. The IPCC is also a very key task. It has a very key task in the international negotiations. The report that we're going to see here are the reports for the policymakers, means that they will not read the thousands of pages that were that will take a part of a report, the full report. This is only a small report for policymakers, because the policymakers, they will not read everything. They will not go through the diagrams and to the graphs and to the tables that we have, because they have no time and they will not understand. We need to give them very clearly messages, very clear messages, what we have, how we have, and what we need to do with that. Then it's a very important report. Go ahead, please. How we go to the IPCC? Well, the scientists, they apply. If there is a call, you send your CV. It's like a contest. You go there, and then in a general way, they decided who can be a good way and a good CV to go into these groups. And in that way, you work for honorary time you devote to this work longer than 4 years to prepare a report. It's not so simple. This is the result of many years of work, working all the time. Even if you have other tasks and you have another job, you need to be there all the time. At the IPCC, we have three groups. The working group 1 is the physical science basis. you can see the objective, and you can see the scientific topics that we work on this group. This group is mainly with scientists from the meteorological science, climatology science, physics, mathematics. Sometimes you have biologists, but it's very rare because there is really very hard science putting in this group. It's very specific, and you can see the greenhouses. You have it all over. The temperature changes in the three systems, air, land, and ocean, very important. Of course, they make models that to say how will be if we do this and if we don't do that, okay? Then it's a very beautiful group, but it's a very scientific group, very hard science. The next, please, is the working group number 2, where we need to work in adaptation and vulnerability and to taking a risk. We can change it. Priyanka, please. This is the group 1. We are going to the next. Isn't it running? Okay, thank you so much. Then we are going to the impact, adaptation, and vulnerability, of course, the risk. And you can see that here start to be the society coming in, since this group is not only hard science. Here we need to involve people, because people is in some way the responsible of what we are doing to the planet. And then, like we said, if I don't recognize that I am a problem in this topic, I will never be the solution. I will never think that what I can do, because I am making responsible others. Like, yes, Dr. Ash said also, others are the responsible. I don't. Then I don't want to act because I have nothing to do. As a single person, I'm not responsible of climate change. That is very funny way to think, because finally, individually, everyone has something to do with this problem. The topics that we work on this group, you can see it there: the impact of climate change, the human and the societies, cultures and settlements, very important, vulnerability and capacities, and how we can adapt to climate change. This is the most difficult thing. People think it's very hot, it's very cold, it's very snowy, it's very rainy, but they don't think other than is different than in the past. Why is different? Why is going like this? Today you see me with a scarf like this because it's very hot, very cold. And 2 days ago it was very hot in Mexico City. It was raining the whole night, and now it's really chill this morning. That is crazy. Then, of course, we need to reduce risk, and the risk we need to reduce with actions. And of course, we need to have equity in all systems, in ecosystems, and together with people. And then we go to the third group, that is the really very important group, that is mitigation, the number 3. We can go, yes, that is mitigation of climate change. How I can work, how I can behave, what I can do to mitigate my emissions, because I have emissions. I have a print in emissions, but like I said, likewise, I don't think that I do. Why, if I'm sitting here in my house, but I am using water, I am using electricity, I am buying food, and the way that I am doing is the way that the print is keeping there. How is my print in everything that I do? Then the climate change mitigation is to make a limit. Do you remember that we were talking a limit of rise of temperature of 1.5 degrees, centigrade degrees? Why? Because if we go further, we risk to lose a lot of ecosystem. Land ecosystem, marine ecosystem, and ecosystems everywhere. And then you can say goodbye to a lot of things. If we remove gases from the atmosphere, that is very good. We are doing that, not enough. But it's like the discussion of the plastic. we need to capture these emissions, or we need to stop or reduce that emissions? That is the question. Exactly with the plastic. We will sell because we are doing, or will we stop to sell it because we don't need to have more plastic? I think that on the earth, we have so many plastic now that you can make any business that you want instead of to promote to sell it again. And then those are all the drivers of the greenhouse emissions, energy, transport, building, industry, all the activities that are, of course, doing by the man, by people, by the society, by the human being. Those are the 3 working groups. And now, once you know more or less how the IPCC is working, we will have breakout rooms with you. We will invite you. I will give the floor to Nahid. You're gonna have in every breakout room this presentation, and you're gonna have some specific slides that they are after this presentation. This is more presentation about the 3 working groups. You're gonna have the results of each group that was released since last year in September was the working group number 1. In February, the working group number 2, and the last one in April in the working group number 3. And I want to say something that Dr. Raj didn't say, but we are very proud because Pop Movement and the family of Pop was working on the report, the 3rd report, the group of the 3rd report, and Dr. Shonali Pachori was working very hardly with this report that you're gonna see here. And I am very proud of the family because really it's an honor to be considered to work on the IPCC. Thank you so much to Bob. Thank you so much to Shonali Pachori. And thank you to this wonderful family fighting all the time against climate change, with the youth, for the youth, and everything that needs to be done with youth because you are the future. And like I said yesterday, we share with you the responsibility to go further, to go with your training, with your capacity building, with your ideas, everything that you need from us, we will be there for you. Like many people here, because I think that you are very interested in this topic, in this issue, and you want to do a lot of things. Amoo, thank you so much to raise your hand. I appreciate it. The only thing that I want to say is, for me, you can get the win-win model. You can make a business and you can stop to sell. I heard that one time in my life in the Senate, I heard that one man said to me, Doctora, I produce plastic bags. I said, okay, but you can do it now in material. You can produce bags, but do it in material, like they did in Europe. That is not the point. And then use that plastic that we have all around the world and produce some goods, produce different things, or sell it to do something else. We can have the model win-win, that I'm sure. And I'm suggesting Priyanka to make to organize a workshop with this topic, because I can see that in Africa is a lot of discussion about this or that. And I think that we can achieve a common goal with the issue of the plastic. Thank you so much. And I go to you, Nahid, please, to explain a little the work that we're gonna make, that we wanna follow now in the breakout rooms, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Norma. Thank you, Dr. Ash, for that amazing presentation. We're really mind blown by it. You really explained it so very well. I have no doubts whatsoever. Now for all the attendees right now, we have an activity for you. So we're gonna divide you in 3 breakout rooms. Each breakout room represents a working group of the IPCC. So if you're on the first breakout room, you're gonna be working on the first, on the working group number 1 of the IPCC. So each group will interpret the findings from the IPCC report, their takeaways, and what recommendations do you all have with respect to the action that can be taken to address the challenges stated in the report. If you have any questions, do let the mentor from POP in your group know. So each of the 3 groups that you're gonna be in, a POP mentor in it. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And in case you're having kind of like bad connectivity, I'm gonna copy the instructions in the chat. By the way, you have 20 minutes in all the rooms. So good luck to everyone, and please do let us know if you have any doubts. And
to interrupt you, just before I make the breakout rooms, would you prefer that I randomly group everyone, or would you like for people to choose which working group they would like to be a part of? Not sure if Nahid is here.
I think, yeah, I did hear you. I think that maybe we can do it random, so we don't waste more time. But do put one of us in each of the group, please.
So I'll assign automatically, and then I think you all can choose to stay, and then I can give you the rights to go to.
Yeah.
Everybody came back. Priyanka, not yet. Okay, we waited. We wait here. I think that we can ask people from. There were only 2 groups.
3 groups.
3 groups. Okay.
Give them 2 minutes to talk about what they discussed. Would that be?
Okay. I think that we can ask to the group, each of the groups, who will be the ones who give us some comments about what they did and what they talked about that. Okay. In my group, the number 2 will be Fola, who will give us the comments from this group. Okay. Thank you. Nahid, are you there? You can help us with the other groups who will be the presenting of the result. Thank you so much.
Blessing will present from ours.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ash.
Thank you.
Was the number 1 for you? Number 2, 3, sorry.
Shay was there.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Pacher was in the 3. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great.
From group number 1, we can start now presenting.
Yeah, so just to give an overview, from each group you can have one person come and share in 2 minutes what was discussed and summary of the recommendations that were discussed. So I think room 1 was Shay. I think you were in room 1.
Yeah, I think we are in group 1. Yeah, I'm in group 1. And then we have a...
Yeah.
So would you like to give us a summary, or would you like to nominate someone to give a summary?
We have a spokesperson in our group, and Mary Rose will do justice to that. Mary Rose, over to you.
Okay. Greetings, everyone. My name is Mary Rose. Can you all hear me, please?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Based on working group 1, we discussed the objective was to examine the physical science underpinning the past, present, and future climate change. So during our discussion, we were able to look at what causes the greenhouse gases, recommendations on extreme weather conditions, the oceans and sea levels, the carbon cycle. So the first thing we talked about was the greenhouse gases. And if we have to look at that, we'll tend to, okay, we actually came into conclusion that, or we recommend that we should be able to use biofuels, that's the use of biomass, in order to eradicate or reduce the number of greenhouse gas emission that we have today. And secondly, we talked about the afforestation, that we have to plant trees in anywhere in our environments that we find ourselves. The reason being to help in curbing the extreme weather conditions that we have, most especially in hot weather conditions. Then we talked about renewable energy. that renewable energy is important. And also the last but not the least is the importance of data, to get data from developing countries. This will help out, this will help in wherever we are to know what is happening and then know how to go about the weather conditions and everything that's happening in the environment. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, please go ahead. Please take it over. Mahid, you can.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I wanted to ask Dr. Norma, did you want to ask your, were there any thought questions or reactions that you wanted to share?
Thank you. I think that we can hear first the three groups. I will call now Fola. Can you go further with our group, please? Okay. Group number 2. Thank you, Fola.
All right. Yeah, so okay, for our group number 2, we actually discussed the impacts of adaptation and mitigation at the local level, regional level, and at a global level, if it's a positive impact or if it's negative. And we actually started, or chronologically, we had to talk about the impact. And Atama discussed, or she brought to light that, especially in Africa, and most importantly in Nigeria, that most people that really heavily impacted with climate change issues are the women, because they are the ones that are actually closer to nature. They are the ones that would, do with the house upkeep, with getting water from the forest, actually with the farming, and then they are actually closest to the impact of climate change. So women are mostly more impacted, and that is why she's actually clamoring for more incentive to be made concerning gender-based climate change approaches. Then we also discussed, we said also that the adaptation could be positive in the sense that at the local level, we have indigenous farmers coming up with good cultural practices, even when they do not have prior knowledge about what is happening with climate change around the world. But they have over the years noticed the changes in the rainfall or in the temperature, and they noticed that, this particular year, I was able to make this yield, what happened this year? And they've been able to think culturally about how to make better yields. And then at the regional and global level, we have scientists coming up daily with new technology, just like what we heard today about hydrogen, use of hydrogen in vehicles for steam engines. These are, at innovations at global levels. And then someone else in the person of Amoo Faruq was saying that even before we think about if adaptation or mitigation is positive or negative impact, we should think about not only the economical aspect of it, but we should think about its relation with our health. If we're saying that at this particular adaptation, we should look at it, how will it affect the health? Or we don't want to solve climate change issues, but also we should think about the other aspects it could actually also impact. So, because we couldn't say, we'll solve issues of climate change and then also neglect other aspects of, it could be actually health, it could be psychological. We should also look into also those aspects. Then we also talked about biomimicry, how the use of biomimicry could also be a positive impact towards mitigation, in the sense that we look at animals, how animals have been able to adapt naturally to issues of climate change in their own habitat, and we could copy this mode of adaptation into complex systems and make sure humans can be able to also adapt into the nature naturally. So I hope I did not leave out any point, Dr. Norma. I hope I did enough justice to that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Fola. Yeah, I will make some little remarks at the end for the two groups. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fola. And then now the working group 3, please, Dr. Ash.
Blessing, please. Yeah, hi. Thank you. So I think Blessing will represent our discussion in group. But Thank you.
very much.
Thank you, Blessing.
Thank you. So from our group, the working group 3, we discussed about mitigation of climate change, and our focus was on how we could assess the method for reducing greenhouse emissions and removing greenhouse from the atmosphere. So Sally gave a recommendation from our group that if we could actually place oil companies on accountability, we discovered that most of the greenhouse gases that are emitted are from fossil fuels, and this comes from production of fuels that we use. Like she made an example in Nigeria where the gas line gets leaked and it causes a lot of pollution around that place. So, and most times the government don't take any responsibility. If government begin to place great penalties on oil companies, I think it will reduce and give them a sense of urgency to see that they take more responsibility in that area. Also, we discussed, I think Neya said something about afforestation, whereby we are cutting more trees than we should. And at this point, we should be planting more trees that are not just economical to the environment, but also that are useful to us in terms of not just planting trees because we want to build houses, but planting trees because of the values they have for us and what they can actually give us in terms of absorbing these greenhouse gases. Also, we discussed, I raised a point about having approaches that are practical to grassroots. Now, when we say we have, we want to create awareness, how do we go about it, especially for grassroots people? So we also came to the point that if at grassroots level, if each community can have practical steps whereby we can actually sensitize them on issues around climate change. For instance, what works in Europe might not work in Africa, and probably what works in Nigeria might not totally work in Kenya. But if each country, each community have their own practical method and approach towards creating enlightenment, creating awareness, and also teaching the community how they can also go about it, even in terms of waste management. What is called waste in Nigeria might not be waste in another place. But if we can take it solely going down to the grassroots of each countries and of each community, it will also go a long way in mitigating the effect of climate change also. I think from our Dr. Ash, did I make justice to the whole point raised?
You did a great job. Thank you so much for representing everybody's voice. I sincerely appreciate it. It was a great summary. Thank you, Blessing, and to the entire group. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for your wonderful work and comments and ideas and thoughts. I will make a very short comments on the 3 groups. Of course, I will ask you to send your notes to Priyanka in order to make a more specific and more a broader report. For the Maddie Rose, thank you so much. She focused, and this group focused on the data, that we need data for developing countries. I think that is true, that, like I said, it's a very hard group with hard science, and we need to develop this database for our countries. And I say our countries because I belong to that kind of countries. Thank you so very much. I'm sure that everything was focused on the greenhouse gases. Thank you so much. The working group number 2, give the voice to the indigenous communities because they have the culture, and they, even if they don't know the climate change as a topic and as a concept, they have a culture to take care of the nature and the resources. Then give the voice and the space to women in Africa because they don't have it. And in that way, Dr. Atama was demanding social justice and equity, that they are fundamental, like Dr. Ash said at the beginning. And of course, better innovation models to act globally. And finally, the group number 3, talking also because it's the mitigation group that is very, very important, from greenhouses reduction, taking more responsibility, reforestation as a value versus greenhouse gas emissions, and working at grassroots levels, each country or localities that I was suggesting in this group. I know that maybe I'm missing things because I was not there, but please send you the notes to Priyanka or the organizers in order to put all your thoughts, because I wrote down at least 2 pages with your ideas. Thank you so very much. You want to say something else, Nahid or Dr. Ash, please?
Just that we will be making a post about this event on the pop movement. So we would love to have all of your ideas, so we can also post them to our social media so everyone can see what was done during this event. And thank you so much for all your participation.
Thank you. And I just want to say, this has been, this is a very elaborate process, and therefore to sort of condense it in a brief workshop is quite a feat. But I want to say, just from the few minutes of listening to the many discussions, which were very stimulating, to me is indicative that, your heart, your ears, your eyes, and your hands and feet are on the ground, and you're very, very close to the issues, and also have incredible out-of-the-box thinking in terms of identifying solutions. And I'm just going to encourage you to stay out of the box, because we know that the box is what's limited us, and sadly has landed us in the situation with the challenges we're confronting as we speak. So, your finger on the pulse in terms of what the realities are, what the implications are, particularly for our communities, the local solutions that you talked about. I know that there was a lot of discussion. If we had more time, we would have talked much more about it. But the fact that we do need local solutions, and that, one size fits all is definitely not the answer. So I'm just going to say, to me, is very clearly indicative that all of you have thinking that's not only based on field realities, they're based on today's challenges, but look at solutions that are outside the box. And this is exactly what we need. We need that science to inform us, to take action, to think through ideas for what will work, and nobody will know it better than you. So I just want to say thank you once again, Dr. Norma, many, many thanks for guiding us through this. Nahid, for always propelling us to take the action that we need to deliver on sessions, on follow-up. Your voices count, and thank you for amplifying them using social media. This is an incredible opportunity for all of us to get together, to remain together. And we are a family, and I know as a family we'll go very far. So thank you once again, and I can't wait for all the next steps.
Thank you so much, Nahid. Thank you so much, Dr. Ash. Over to you, Priyanka and Seiji, if you think that we have a little time to the wonderful community that is working with us today. If they have something to say, if they have some comment, otherwise, it's your turn to close this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Norma, Dr. Ash, and Nahid. I think this was so meaningful, as it's so important for all of us to understand the IPCC report, and it becomes so difficult to run through their entire huge report and really understand it. And I think to get the opportunity to get it right from the experts who had like a first-hand experience into the process, I think it's an honor. And we have so much that we have taken away from here. And science, like you said, is so important to basically convey, and for us to also amplify the kind of action we want to take. Science is what backs it all. So thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much, Dr. Norma, on such a short notice also to put this together. And like Dr. Ash said, the process is so elaborate, it's impossible to do it in such a short time, but I think it's such a great achievement. So thank you so much to the POP team, as always. Yes, Dr. Ash.
I did want to say, thank you to you for your vision for integrating this, and it's been that vision which has brought this and manifested it. And I just want to say, my dad and I used to talk a lot about this, and I'm going to ask you to really think about it. And it doesn't need to be right this moment in time, but I'd love for you to process your thoughts, because what we've been talking a lot about, and I think this Times report very clearly indicates that we need what's called the YPCC. We need youth voices to be part of this. And, you have, like I said, you have your finger on the pulse, and there could be no greater evidence than evidence from the field. So you are that evidence. And I would encourage everybody here, who's in part of the process, who wants to be sort of at the helm of guiding the program and policy, being part of collecting that data. All of you can do it. And we've got so many amazing researchers, leaders, field level work is research also, if we start to collect data and voices from the field. So this is very much a representation of what is possible. And I'm going to encourage everybody here to think about it. And let's see how we can really make a meaningful engagement with the process, where science is there to inform us, and to do it really soon, because again, we have a short window of opportunity, but it is opportunity. So we stay hopeful and continue to move forward. So thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ash, for the kind words and the right words as always. I'm just going to hand it over to Shay. We've had incredible 5 days, and today being the Earth Day, I cannot thank all of y'all enough to take the time out and to choose to be here. I know there are so many ways in which everyone's celebrating, and y'all have given your time to us, to this event. We are so very grateful. And with this year marking, like, we're heading towards the end of these 5 days, which I don't know how they've gone by. I think it just flew by. Shay will agree, Paula will agree. It just flew by. But we're so grateful to have, like the pop movement always says, a family. We are so grateful to be a family here. I'm going to hand it over to Shay to close the event and to guide us on how we want to wrap up. So Shay, the floor is all yours. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Ash. You've been an amazing man ever since we've met. Thank you, our mother, Dr. Norma. Thank you, Nahid, for your time. Excellent moment with you. We'll never forget. I want to share an appreciation, to the team. I would say this team, it's a phenomenal one. Most of us are working. We go to work every day. Some of us are in school. Someone like Priyanka is in school. At some point, she was in the woods doing her practicals. She had to come back to the city, sleepless night. Even at some point, she fell sick, and it was really a roller coaster for every one of us. But to be honest, we were able to pull this fight. It's not easy to bring young people together. And a lot of people that are very consistent, like from day one. I have people who have, at least we spend 3 hours. And just can imagine people standing by for 3 hours in 5 days, to learn. That is to show that the test in this generation for knowledge is profound. And that is the tool that we actually we need, to fight climate justice, to deliver climate justice, to be able to create the change that we really need. Because no matter how resilient you are, no matter how passionate you are, you need the right tool, which is knowledge. The moment you have the knowledge, you are liberated from every form of ambiguity. And thanks for what you have brought to us, the IPCC. It used to look like, IPCC report, but look at it, it's kind of like it's broken to us, and we all understand this, and it makes it easier. I think it's a great privilege for every one of us here. I just want to challenge every one of us that today is Earth Day, and I'm saying happy Earth Day to every one of you. And this is the moment to change it all, the business climate, the political climate, and how we can take action on climate change. Now is the time for the unstoppable courage, to preserve and also to protect our health, our families, our livelihood. And for this Earth Day 2022, we need to act boldly. We need to innovate, because we actually concentrate on innovation in technology, because we believe that we must be looking into that direction of using technology to solving climate crisis in our local communities. and also to implement equitably. You know, it is going to take us all, as in all, in terms of businesses, private people, government, everyone is accountable for this, and everyone is accountable. It's a partnership for the mother planet, and I want everybody to come together. This is a partnership. We can't do it all alone. Your drive cannot solve the climate crisis. Everybody needs to come together as one to collaborate. Your solutions, my solution, can come together to become a big solution for the climate crisis. And I want to say thank you so much, everybody who have been very loyal to this project. This is the 3rd year anniversary. And I want to say thank you, Pop Movement, for adding colors, adding life, adding vibe to an energy, to this project. I mean, it's fantastic. We are building a platform for young people to be able to, to be able to have a strong voice and to be able to showcase what they are doing around the world. We are building a platform for networking and connecting. That is the currency we are spending in this generation. The more you are able to connect with people, the better your voice and your opinion will be heard. I want to say thank you, and I want to encourage our government to invest in the planet, to invest in young people, to invest in every innovative ideas that our young people are driving all over the world. With that, we can solve climate issues. Thank you, Future Savers. Thank you, Ervis Foundation. Thank you, POP Movement. Health Day. I say thank you so much. Gracias, everybody. Cheers, everybody. And
gracias. Thank you. I've learned
before we wrap, Dr. Ash, I saw your hand up. So if you want to say a few words, I'll give it to you. And I also wanted everyone to switch on their videos so that we can take a quick photo, because it's the last year and it's the Earth Day and it's Pop Movement's birthday. So I think combining all of those amazing things together, we should take a picture. And Dr. Ash, I'll also give you the floor to add your comments.
Thank you, guys. Happy seeing you. Thank you. God bless you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I just wanted to say I couldn't agree more with what brother Shea just said, and Priyanka, Fola, all of you, Dr. Atama, I have so much love and respect for all of you. Really, it's profound. And I'm going to leave you with a thought. And feel free to process this, please, and let me know what you decide. I've heard through this very, very important time we've spent together, so many beautiful and absolutely powerful voices, sentiments, actions, your vision, your inspiration. And I've always said, and I continue to say, we need to put Africa on the map in a way like it's never been before. And if we don't do it now, I don't know when we're going to do it. And I'm going to, we're brothers and sisters. And when I say we're family, I mean that, in every bit of my being. And I just want to say, if in a couple of months from now, when we have the good fortune of celebrating World Environment Day, which will be in June, if I could encourage you to have and host, and of course, we're all in it if the decision is to go ahead, to host an Africa Festival, where all of us work, so there's follow-up. We've come up with so many important, out-of-the-box ideas, innovations, ideas and application of technology and innovation, just so many things that all of you are literally bubbling. If we could find a way to touch each other through the screen, I can feel it right now. Let's follow up. Let this be something that allows us to tangibly take forward what, your beautiful hearts are literally jumping out of wherever we are right now and saying, we need to do it together. We're going to go far. And let's follow up. Let's find a way where we support each other. Let's come back and meet. Give it a couple of months. We can come back at another important milestone in our calendar, if that's it, and share those voices and let's connect. Let Nigeria be the one to lead the way in bringing, you know, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Uganda, you know, Kenya, the Ivory Coast, everybody to the table. And let's ask them, you know, bring your actions, bring your voices, bring your hearts, minds, and souls, and let's come together and do this. And I'm telling you, it is already unstoppable. I can feel it from the pulse in this room as I speak. If you see me, I can literally shake with the energy here. So I you know, I just say, let's make this happen, and then let's do something which brings all of Africa that comes together right now with some more pre-COP, and then let's do it again, and let's just keep going. Let's, you know, build on what we have. We have the most beautiful blessing that anybody could ever dream of, and that is just being together as one. Each one of you, each one of us. So here's my just very small, I know, but large, humble submission and idea. But I know as we hold each other's hands, there's nothing that's ever gonna let it go. So I'm going to leave you with that thought, and I just want to convey my deepest love, my respect, my admiration, and my oneness with every single one of you. It doesn't matter where on the planet any of us are, because I know our heartbeat is one. So my heartiest congratulations. Happy birthday to every one of you.
Thank you, Dr. Ash. Thank you.
My love and respect. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ash.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ash, for the final words and for not letting us leave this on an end note and for giving us a way to move forward. So I think we all have now something to look forward to work towards. So we hope to see you all soon in a brand new Zoom link on a brand new day with greater things that you all have done and you come and share with us. So keep doing what you do because we want to keep hearing what you're doing. And that's how we learn and grow together. Happy Earth Day, everyone. Thank you for joining this year's Earth Day event.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
And wishing you all a wonderful weekend ahead. See you all very soon.
Yeah, please, you can follow us. You can subscribe to our YouTube because we're going to be having videos of each day, so that everything is going to be on record, and we are going to be having the videos, so you can watch and rewatch and share. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.